Can you forward that to us?
I will do that right now.
Thank you. Oh, we're live. Yeah, I just went live. We got to count down.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the January 2025 Athens in Motion meeting. Thank you for your patience as we get in our room and get our technology set up. Always takes a minute. Happy to see all of you. And with that, I will do roll call. Lauren is here. Art here. Teresa here. Andy here. Alan
Here.
Ed.
Yes.
Billy is here. Blaine is online.
Here.
Gabriella is out due to work. Daniel and Katie, any public comments?
No.
All right, in a minute, we'll approve our minutes. For today's agenda, we don't have any items to vote on, but we'll get some updates on things, including T-SPLOST. Next month, we'll have our annual meeting. We'll receive staff updates. And then I have allocated some time for the end of our meeting to just talk about the year ahead and also talk about like kind of getting back to why we're on this commission and maybe finding vehicles, avenues for the things that you all want to do and what you're finding why you time to serve. So yeah. And we're starting a little bit late, so I don't know if we'll get out. I was really trying to get us out a little bit early at 5:40, but we might go over. So there. Planning to leave at 5:40 needs to. Any additions, changes to our agenda requested? And Randy, you weren't trying. Were we trying to get a vote? I'm sorry, I didn't look on your item. Or just, I don't think so. I probably just you wanted to get by and just get. Okay. I just realized I didn't look at that. Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve our agenda. Okay, first from Ed, second from Art. All those in favor? Aye. I'm going to make sure I say everyone's name so that way Blaine can hear us and record those. Yeah. All right. Next are our minutes from past month, which we were able to get. I did have them up here. Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to have that up on the screen too. Here.
Lauren, did you actually receive those through the email or did you pull it up on the shared drive?
Both. I have done all of that. From my personal email, from my ACC Gov email, and all that good stuff. All right, so this is back in November. We talked about North Avenue. We gave an update on Prince Avenue. We talked about T-SPLOST and our usual staff updates. Any additions or corrections to our minutes?
I think terrible. I think I just saw something, Lauren, on the park planning. I think I still had Daniel's name listed, maybe from the previous month instead of Todd. And I know Todd did give us the update in November.
Yeah. Thank you. No. Good catch. Anything else? Right, with that, I will make a motion to approve our minutes from November.
I'll take care from that.
All right, make the motion. Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. So Teresa made the motion and seconded it. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are moving on to the next item on our agenda. So just a couple of quick updates from me, your chair. Our 4 T-SPOS projects have been submitted. So thank you everyone who attended the committee meetings and gave feedback, and of course everyone who participated in our full meeting and made a vote. I do want to thank Randy and Teresa for taking charge of 2 of those. And also I know that Teresa and Art, that you both went through and made some changes and looked through. Is it anyone else's name that's made edits or anything? Okay, so yeah, it's a big form. It's a lot to fill out. It takes a village. So really, thank you all for your approval.
Do we have any status update on the committee or process or anything?
We're doing our staff reviews. If there hasn't been anything publicly posted, then
You guys have a deadline or like a general?
they need to open it. I haven't had a chance with all the other stuff, so. I hope we don't have a deadline coming up soon. Actually, Todd, you've been reviewing it. Is there a deadline? Do you know?
Yeah, we have to have all of them reviewed by February 6th, I believe. And so February 6th, we have to have them reviewed, and then I know shortly after that, SPLOS is going to start scheduling the presentations.
What was that date?
February 6th.
But you guys are gonna have some comments for the people who submitted
Yeah.
items, right? So there will be a comment and a correction.
Correct.
before presentations are due.
We're trying to, I believe what we're trying to do is we're trying to get those comments and get them to Keith as quickly as we can so that he can start feeding them to the people that submitted stuff. So, but I know we have to have them all done by the February 6th. So I'm not sure of the logistics of getting comments addressed and when he will have the meeting scheduled. He's just, those were like internal working deadlines for us.
Okay, thank you. That's useful information as we try and plan our commission activities for the next couple months from
Yeah.
into the spring.
But I believe he asked us to go start with there's like 71 proposals. And I believe he
Okay.
asked us to start at number 1 and go straight in order, providing our comments so that they could start, the top of the list would go first and that kind of stuff. So, but that would be something you can ask the SPLOST office, the capital projects office, what their real schedule is.
Okay, thank you. So 71 projects. We had 90 in the last T-SPLOS. There's usually a couple I think that get knocked off. So if anyone has been asked to serve on T-SPLOS committee, you might have a little bit less work this time. I mean, 20 less projects. Yeah, I did. We had talked about giving the mayor and commission a heads up about the projects, the T-SPLOS projects we were submitting, because it is kind of like a work plan sort of thing. And I did let them know. And we did get a response. I think it's okay for me to say that I believe that Commissioner Wright and Commissioner Hamby are also submitting a Village Avenue project of some sort. But this is great. It's fine to have some redundancy among projects. It's just, it gives the committee an opportunity to look at it in different ways and just hear more about the area in Athens that need work. So I think that's great. I haven't heard anything else from other, well, actually, I think Commissioner Myers indicated a submission for Barn Initials. I think that's all. Yes. Any, do you have any other questions about T-SPOS right now? I don't know. I don't think it's officially on the website because I think that they're still trying to, I have a sense that the SPOS office is probably still trying to hear back from commissioners about who they're picking. So that's my guess on that. That's a great point.
You know, you can do very good interview and just, you know, vote on things, or you can go with, you know, survey each of the site and kind of figure out what the try to figure out, you know, what the value for the dollar is, and, you know.
Wasn't it like 2 times a week? Or
No, it was 3 times a week, okay. 3 times a week.
It's up to 3.
Yeah, it was like 3 times a week, and some other week. It was more.
So,
You don't have to do as much as I.
yeah, well, and that is important. The most, now we're not on the committee right now, so I don't want to speak officially for, we're not speaking officially for the SPOS office. We don't know, we have not been told. But the way it was done in the past, the most critical thing to do is actually show up to the meetings and presentations, because usually the first couple meetings, the committee will go and decide that you have to attend certain threshold of meetings in order to be able to vote on projects. Now, it's up to,
That's what they have to do.
yeah. Originally, I think it was gonna be 2, I think is what they were thinking, but then because there were 91 projects to review, then it was moved up to 3. No, don't know what it's gonna be like. I've not heard, we're not part of that process this time. And there's usually like some people who show up within the first meeting or 2 and they get the overview from the SPOS office, and some people are not able to commit at that point. Commissioners have to call in their, so that's potentially an option that does happen. So anyone who's invited could show up and realize like, oh, you know, I am not able to commit, and you would let your commissioner.
It's an important job.
Yeah.
It really is, and I felt like a lot of the last people, they didn't really understand. And yeah, I just feel like that was very useful. So we need to.
Well, we're happy to chat more informally, like for anyone who has been asked or said yes.
Doesn't go on
Or
forever.
you might get fed. In the first 2 spots, we met in person and we got fed. The second 2 spots, we were all online. I had to feed myself.
There was a whole lot of smacking going on.
Yeah. But you know, you'll never fear. You guys will get all, if you're on the committee, you will get the information that you need. This is not the first rodeo. It's all laid out. So you know, you don't have to take it from over here myself. Okay, presentations won't be due in the next month because I really would like to actually do our annual meeting, which is going to be in February. And so this is just a year in review. Committee chairs, it could be helpful if you send along bullet points or just remind me of the events that you did, and who attended. If you have any pictures, that's useful, and I'll kind of throw it together in a little overview. And then our work plan is not so much things that we're going to do this year. It's just potentially things that could come before the Mayor and Commission vote. So the Mayor and Commission, they don't need to know that, you know, do a family day this year because we couldn't last year or something like that. It's more like it's holiday and things like that. that's why we went ahead and told them about our T-SPOS projects, because they could see that in front of them that way. And staff can help with those sorts of things. Sometimes we don't know what's going to come before them, but it's useful to give them a heads up. So thank you for that information. So that will be next month. All right, any questions about that? We will now go to our dates with policy and projects and bike rack locations, and I'm going to share the screen. Randy has a short presentation for us. Randy, I'm happy to drive, and you just tell me what you need me to do.
It's just one slide, so.
Yeah, it's taking a minute to show up. Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So at our last P&P meeting, Teresa, Daniel and I took a look at the website where people could put input proposed locations. Also did some brainstorming, and towards the end of the meeting, I noticed it's really list there a lot of the parks in the Greenway where we can start putting some racks. We have 80 racks total to distribute so far. And what we're proposing at this point for bike Athens, put 4 of them there. Around the different county, Concrete Nature Center, at the entrance of the center itself, but not those that are along the Greenway. So interesting. Sidewalk near Hendershots, where there was at one time some bike racks over it.
And I just need you to know, Randy, that this came up today on Reddit. Literally, people are wondering about the bike racks that used to exist by Hendershots on Reddit today. Like it's like 2 hours ago. No. Please.
The Greenway, College Avenue. Well, of course, it starts when you go. The Greenway and the trail. Okay, but just- Parking lot by Mama's School, there is an existing rack there, but it's. Place that. Over at Memorial Park. People have swimming pool and people have the admin facility. And the coordinator centers there. Up in Winterville. There. Community park.
Yes.
The people, the individuals. Part of different acts. They were the people but there is no place to try to put the rail. So we're looking at that. Because it's 27 so far. Still need on this through the fall. We'll continue at each of the meetings to look for new locations. Please, if you can, either put them on that website where you can put in locations. We still didn't get through them all. And yeah. Wow.
So the survey is still active. People could still use that.
That survey is still active.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
I've had it linked on the agenda a couple
Last meeting.
oh yes.
I got it.
So, Typically, if something is donated, at least in the leisure services facility, they have a protocol for that. And I believe it's a plaque that gets embedded into the concrete. Todd, how much is a plaque?
Gosh, there's a lot more than a bike rack, I can tell you that.
So I wasn't thinking anything that complicated, I was just thinking like a bumper sticker. Tag
Yeah,
like
but
so
yeah,
on.
that's
They have standards though, that we can't just like do our own thing on it. They have to. For the leisure services ones, if you want something from Things in Motion, it has to be a plaque.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm looking at the price.
So it adds complexity and money. And that would be per location. So we could, if you wanted to have one or two, maybe where we have more racks, that could be a possibility.
They would have limited impact. Something that's more.
Hey, Daniel, though, it looks like the signs run probably $300+ for our typical edged aluminum sign that we put in the granite, into the concrete.
Yeah.
You know, I got this idea actually from UGA bike racks for the bike rental thing.
Yeah.
Because they have this nasty thing saying only for bike rental, or for a bike share program and bike, not allowing the rest. And nobody parks their bikes there, so. But they are pretty permanent. They still can be decals.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's not an inexpensive mechanism, but maybe there, in the future, one day there
The
will
leisure
be.
services one.
And you
This
can,
is for leisure.
My proposal, Todd,
oh, I was just gonna say, if you want to submit an alternate, you can, and I will discuss it with leadership.
so it's not guaranteed, but maybe.
Yeah.
I would just throw in that we should add one more rack to that list somewhere so that I can just, so that your guys can come to the garage bay and pick up the whole pallet that's still sealed and has 20 racks on it. And we don't have to pull them out and manually count them.
Okay.
I think that you can work that
So
out.
basically 20 racks for leisure services. Since there's 19 listed here, probably use an extra one somewhere.
Okay.
And who wants to do the logo decal proposal? Just Todd.
Well, if we do it, then it'll be about 2,400. For 100. For 100 logo. We do.
Daniel, has anybody reached out to Transit about putting any racks at bus stops?
I was gonna mention that I have talked with Transit and they said we could give them a flat of bike racks and they have maintenance guys that can install them.
Okay.
And they would probably install them based on the higher rider usage areas.
Mhm.
So, my thought was 20 to transit, 20 to leisure services. And then, we've got a few other ones. We were gonna basically, I think, Scott, would you be able to help with install on some of the like Winterville ones and stuff?
We're gonna do what we can, get as many of them out there as we can.
So we have a lot, we have like 40 that are unpacked and loose, and those are ones that we can individually work with Scott to get out as many as we can, so.
Yeah.
I see, like that's popping up.
Randy, is that what, your committee wants to do, like the 20 to leader services and the 20 to transit?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
And then the 40 kind of generally like strategically placed. Yeah.
they're good local. Just, they're local.
I mean, the big thing would be, like, if y'all know what you want it to look like, you can send it to Todd, and then before you like get prices, because they have people that do vinyl, like AKO, when I was there, was our main person who did vinyl stickers for us, and
Just thinking something really simple with our little contours of the, we say bike racks might make it harder to put a rectangle. I don't know, whatever. It's just- it's like-
stickers that go on. I've seen, like, during pandemic, there was a lot of like
Oh, 6 feet, yeah, keep your distance.
yeah, and some of those are still stuck around. I wonder what those are.
Could be like a flyer and some wheat paste. Partly working on this for a while, policy projects committee, it does make a difference, like I've told y'all before. I have traveled, been on rail trails, and, it's amazing how a city will have just a great greenway or rail trail, and then you get into the city and there's no safe place to put your bike, not even a lamp post that isn't surrounded by cars, so it actually does matter. So thank y'all for your work on that, Randy.
Maybe what it could be is like as part of the annual how many bike racks for community.
Yeah.
From Athens and Mission, and you don't have to worry about having
I think for visibility, I would like, if we can have a sticker, I would like that. And then also have those kinds of statistics in there. Yeah. All right, I'm going to kick it over to staff, for up to 30 minutes updates. So, Todd, are you ready to kick us off?
I am.
All right.
So let me share my,
Someone on Reddit wants to know what's up with the Greenway and the Firefly Trail, and you are the man with all the answers.
okay, let me find the share button and I will share my screen. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so the Greenway at the Nature Center, right now we are planning on having the opening on Sunday, February 9th for the Frog Hop 5K.
Yeah.
Striping and some of the other stuff may have to come after the 5K and would be completed by the end of February, but the the fences and all that other stuff will be down. So it'll be kind of almost a soft opening, but it'll be open. They're almost wrapped up. They're up at this front area where the granite walls are at the entrance at the parking lot. They're wrapping up, pouring concrete and that kind of stuff, and putting the bike racks in and that all that stuff this week and next week. So it may open a day or two earlier. You know, they may, depending on the gate. We have a gate that they're having fabricated to replace the old gate that was there. And so
Right.
when that gate gets there will be when we can take down the construction gates and kind of just open it up to people. So
Todd, I learned yesterday that the striping and the speed tables are temperature dependent. So they were waiting on things to warm up a little bit.
correct. You need the temperatures to be a little bit warmer. They do have a giant, it's almost like a panini press, big old thing that heats up, and they can heat the pavement with that. But I don't know how that works with the thermoplastic and everything else. And so, but yes, they're waiting on the temperatures to get a little warmer in February mid-February to do the speed tables and the thermoplastic striping. So that's that one. If you have any other questions. And so, Firefly Phase 3, the notice to proceed was issued on January 13th with a substantial completion of January 13th, 2026, and a final completion of February 12th, 2026. And that's for segments 1, 2, and part of 3. We're stopping short of the Oakmont subdivision area. So it would stop right about where my cursor is. And Splost Office is currently working on acquiring those remaining easements right in that behind in between the Oakmont subdivision so that they can turn the rest of the project and send it out for additional bid.
Would you be able to access it from the Oakmont?
Will you be able to access it? No, you won't. So, because those are, until we get those easements, we can't have people accessing the trail at this point. I think that I'll just say that right now. No, because it goes through people's yards, their backyards. And plus the grade, there's only one place where the grades are flat. For the most part, you're talking about the elevation is almost shoulder to head high above the trail. For several of those homes, they're above the trail. And so there's only probably one parcel where, or maybe two, where the trail is level with their home. So that would be, yeah, so we will not be accessing through Oakmont.
Yeah, okay, so probably what's going to happen is as construction is being wrapped up for sections 1, 2, and 3, hopefully there will be the easements will be cleared up and there will be like this last section proceed and everything else associated within its own completion date, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I believe the ultimate goal is to just do a change order to the contract, and the contractor would just keep building.
Okay.
But it's all dependent on the length of time to get those easements. I would think that's more of a question for Derek in the Splost office.
Sure.
But
Sure. Okay, but yeah, so the most efficient route would be, if possible, a change order and allow the same group who's doing the construction to continue with and do construction over that latter part.
correct.
Okay, that's useful. Thank you.
And then the Okeechobee Street Bridge Greenway underpass. We are currently working with Georgia Power on the easement they need to move their big transmission line, because it goes right over the top of our existing granite monument that's there at Easley Mill. And so we're working with them still, negotiating the replacement of that granite monolith that's there, the sign. And so once that's approved, that's the last little piece of that. I know the bridge construction's under construction and will be for 42 months, so it'll be 2028. And so the trail construction under the bridge will not occur until after the bridge is completed. So you're talking 2029, 28. It's probably somewhere in that ballpark, late 2028, early 2029.
Okay.
Hey, Todd,
Yeah,
good, just a question, probably a really small question, but there, I guess there's some construction on the Oconee, by the Oconee Cemetery, where the four-way stop is going to Lexington, the bridge, UGA. Can you tell us what the status is of that?
down at the Waffle House area.
No, back, on the Greenway, there's a four-way stop, where you turn one way and go up to Oconee.
Oh, okay. That,
Yes.
so that's the Sanford, sewer construction. And that's the one that goes across the river. And they built that little detour around the Greenway there. And I know, I'm sorry, I don't know the full status of that one. I will have to get with our staff on that one. That one's
Okay, we just got notice from our commissioner that whole section is closed this entire week.
I think it's a short closure while they're moving
Yeah.
the equipment and that kind of
Okay,
stuff. It's not
thank you.
it's not a long term, as best as I know, because that was the reason we built that little bypass around the construction area. They may be setting up some heavy equipment, so.
All right.
So we probably
So-
have,
So yeah, my understanding is that part of the Greenway isn't closed. You just have to use the detour.
well, this
Right.
week it's all closed.
This was this week.
Yeah, it looks like it, there's an,
I was aware of that.
yeah, I don't think that we knew that it was going to be completely shut down, but I think as Todd said, it's probably, that would make sense to move, heavy equipment. And then once they're settled, then I guess we just have to
I did
detour.
that work there, it was about the.
I believe it's on our park trails and open space closure page. I would think that we made a map for it, so the information
Mhm.
for it should be on the Leisure Services Parks, Trails and Open Space webpage.
Yes, and I'll share my screen real quick because I do happen to have it pulled up on Athens-Clarke County official Facebook page. Oops, I lost it. Sorry, it should appear. So the orange part is the Firefly Trail. Top left is towards downtown. We have the Coney Cemetery, so it looks like it will be closed from the edge of Cars Hill down past the UGA four-way and under the loop. So that's just this week, and then there's a bypass further up. Great. Cool. Thanks for your help with that, Todd. Was there anything else in your update?
I don't know if y'all have saw the at the racetrack gas station on the Firefly Trail, the art should have been going up last night. So I can quickly, I don't have a picture of the actual piece,
Yeah.
but that's what it looks like in the shop. Here's a
nice.
couple of
Oh.
pictures of the art. But
Mhm.
it should be up there currently.
It went up yesterday.
Okay, I need to get out there and see it.
Yeah, I haven't.
But that's all I have for today.
Oh, it's pretty. I can't wait to see it in person. Haven't seen it yet. Nice. All right. Thank you, Todd. Oh, yeah.
Where's that located?
It's at the racetrack. Yes. Right at where Old Hunterville Road intersects. Yeah.
Like that.
I think it's near the pedestrian, beacon. The Lincoln bus. Yeah. All right. Turning it over to our transportation.
We can find our hearing, but we don't have to keep on. January, something that's supposed to report. But, did you want me to pull up on the? Yeah,
One of them was the ice.
yeah, that was, that is the one part. Yeah, two of them were, pedestrians. In January. The Donald's on the highway. Again.
West Broad Street.
There was. Yeah, this is somebody, I'm actually. Been changed from at first, people now. Everywhere.
Is that 2 points on the same location?
Yeah, yeah, they were same vehicle.
Highway.
So there's one that's, but so the front. Well, yeah, two questions on two guys were involved in one of them, there were 5 serious injuries. On the top. So one of the serious injuries was so the driver turned left and will lose the open for there's a bike there. If you tell me that, you know, it's looking that way, it's something that very identical to the driveway. It's not completely clear that the driver is looking at the other.
And the other side was on Congress Road. It's a serious injury crash. So I think that's the yellow. Is yellow serious injury? This was a serious injury crash. And I guess a Kia Rio is traveling north in the northbound out, and a Toyota Camry was traveling south in the northbound lanes of Commerce Road. There's a 2014. So Camry was traveling south in the northbound lanes, and the Kia Rio was traveling north in the northbound lane. Collided at the intersection of Sandy Creek Drive, and the driver's front corner of the Toyota struck the front driver's corner of the Kia. So kind of corners hit. Driver of the southbound vehicle suffered serious injuries. PARMC, which is Piedmont Regional Hospital, and pronounced deceased shortly after arriving at it.
So in this case, a person was driving along. Yeah. So they were going south and northbound. They were all.
We'll just make sure we double check that. Because, do you have it in your email?
Yes.
Cool. So we'll just compare the crash number. It's probably a serious injury.
Yeah. Those reports are just what the witnesses at the scene are guessing if it's serious or not serious. Yeah, it might not be accurate.
Yeah.
But I don't, for now, I don't have any way of figuring out what seems like the most, any other way of figuring out what seems like the most important. But we'll try to follow up.
Pedestrian involved was across Prince Avenue.
Yes, that was, two people who worked at the hospital. Pushed to take a left on Edge. Someone who's hadn't finished walking, crossing the crosswalk. Driver took the pedestrian for surgery to repair their knee. Yeah,
That's in that crosswalk of the hospital, as in like it's across Talmadge, right? Not across Prince.
that's right.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's kind of a long way.
Those reports post. These are on it's a system called Gears, which GDOT assembles everything that police agencies have reported. So, is it available to the general public?
No.
All the good stuff is kept in.
You could contact PD and ask for open records requests. There's probably some PD associated with it, but they would just pull up the data and get an export. I mean, everything for the county is subject to open records requests, but some things that you actually have to go through the process. So it's possible that's the case, but that would have to go to PD because it's their data.
There's a tool that Good Georgia has. Might have most of it.
It's a publicly viewable database on Numerics. It's hosted by, I believe it will not include last year's crashes. It would be up to 2023, and it doesn't get into specific crashes. It allows you to filter types of crashes, and you can see statistics.
Yeah, I've tried to read the crash reports on the most serious ones and summarize them for this report. More context.
This is probably the best source for crash information.
And what is that website?
This is right here, this report that we have.
Okay.
This is the better one.
And can we get it? Or, yeah, I'll send it to you. And I'll put it on the website like you asked me to.
So this one for Baldwin at East Campus, do we know if the driver was going towards campus or away from campus?
We do, but I didn't write it down. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that it was actually witnessed by the police. Like how many happened that aren't witnessed?
Yeah, what is that comment, witnessed by police who didn't think driver was going to stop? It seemed like the driver was just going to keep going like a hit and run. Is that what they mean?
And so chased the driver to stop. So that they had hit the
I
person.
see.
So.
I read that as stop the why, or like
I see.
they planned to not hit the pedestrian, but they did anyway. So I was like, what does that mean?
All right,
Okay.
I'll update that. I was doing the extra short summary. Yeah, I just thought it was anything. Seen,
Mhm.
you know, like the collisions are underreported. See, I was gonna look up where exactly. This might take that.
Okay, yeah, do you want, we can come back to that, that's fine. And you have the bicycle involved.
Right, one of them is the serious injury at, on Dumbledore at the loop. One, a car passed a biker on Old Lexington and almost hit with the mirror.
Oh, God.
Or injured.
I'd like to ask if the people online can hear. I guess it's probably not.
I have a hard time.
Scott, can you hear Katie?
Real low.
Okay.
Do you have more? Because you could sit here if you want.
That was the end of the report.
I just realized right in the nick of time.
Yeah, I will, clarify a couple of these and send it out to the list.
Excellent.
Yeah, I do want to encourage people, like, if you, a lot of this stuff does not get reported. So if you hear or see of crashes, particularly involving bikes or scooters or people walking, let's send those to Daniel and Katie, because we can keep track of those, like some of those are near misses. I know of, a parent whose child was an 8th grader at Hillsman and was hit by a car on their bike. They're okay. And the person who hit them stopped and everything. But the bike was not okay. And so, I mean, we're lucky here, but I think that a lot of these things are happening quite frequently and people are just
The crashes, like the hospital, it was reported 3 days later. Probably for insurance purposes. So if you do hear about the crashes, you can send it to us, but the best thing is for them to call and report the crash to police so they can get an actual crash report. Because you don't always immediately know
Oh, right, yeah, right.
your like wound, injuries and stuff, but as you've seen, it is possible to call 3 days later and do a police report and explain the situation of what happened. So
number one thing, even if people are okay, encourage them to call CPD and file a police report. That is useful. We get that data, it matters. And then if there's a case of like a near miss or they never did a police report and don't want to have that interaction, it's just useful for us to know.
yeah, and the web page, our Athens in Motion web page still has the ability to submit a comment to the Athens and there's an option to put in a close call. So you can do it for them or they can do it. It's pretty simple to find, but you have to be looking for it.
Before we move on from crashes and all that bit, we've been discussing human fatalities and injuries and the like. I'm curious, are you guys tracking in any way deer-related accidents?
We can see wildlife-related crashes. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Just totaled his car, killing a buck.
Yeah, I actually did a report recently for the sustainability office, Mike Wharton. He was curious about our tool and filtered out all of the animal-related crashes in the last 10 years, I guess. And again, that has to be a crash report. If you kill the buck and you leave it there, and you don't file a police report, it's not going to end up in our data.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
yeah, it's only if police are involved.
Not entirely sure how it is in the rest of Athens, but 5 points means living closely with a lot of deer.
I can tell you, a friend of mine moved out Halsey Road, and going on that road at night, I won't go more than 40 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
And that's like, if it is completely open. I've seen like gatherings of 10 or 20 of them just hanging out next to the road.
I had 6 in my yard this morning.
Yeah. All right, additional staff updates.
If y'all are interested, I could show the latest from our sidewalk gap and bike lane gap framework, but I know you're also wanting to finish early.
Is that the main thing you have left to, that you would like to do?
It's basically the only thing that I would like to show probably because I
So
don't
we
have a
10
ton.
minutes or something?
You can shut me off whenever you feel like it.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you off in 10 minutes.
Okay.
It might be 7 minutes. Just so we can talk. And they can get out of here when I'm done.
Let's see if this is gonna share. Cool. No, it's working. All right. Scott, let me know when you see it.
There we go.
All right. So this is kind of a first pass at the prioritization. And you can see there still needs to be some filtering here of the longer let me go back up. Longer ones, let me just check one thing. Come on. For now, just look past the really long stretches. They were supposed to filter it out for me beforehand, but that's okay. We're gonna here's a section of sidewalk gaps. This is low. This is west. This is Prince Avenue up here, and this is Millage, south and center. Sidewalk gaps in that area, and the various. Right. My computer could not. I'm going to stop the video. This is usually what happens. All right. So, Scott, let me know again once you see it.
There you go.
So these are all the sidewalk gap priorities. And the purple colors are, I believe, the higher gap scores. The lighter colors are the lower gap scores. There's kind of some major frameworks that it's broken out. So one is access and connectivity, one is equity, one is safety and comfort, and the other is constructability. Now, I think one of the things that's throwing off the scores at the moment is the constructability piece, because that's basically just saying if it's longer than 1,000 feet, then it seems to be adding in more points, which is not what we so I've talked to them and we're gonna have some updates to it. But with this, let's go up to here. Bike gap metrics. So this is kind of what those metrics look like at the moment. And I'm hoping this is the right document. There. Okay. So this is bike. There we go. There's just so the subcategories over here, the section, so existing demand. You can see here, these two are color coded. So gray means there's not really a way to do this. Blue means we don't currently, or like we will have the data, but it hasn't been incorporated to this. So basically you can see here, these are the score values right here. The criteria is right here. So for instance, if there are no sidewalks on either side of the road, then that would get a 10 on that segment. And that basically says like, hey, sidewalk here's a higher priority for this particular thing.
But this is without context, right?
When you say context.
Like, so, a road that is at the edge of the county and there's no businesses or schools and doesn't have sidewalks on both sides, it's the same as a road in town that doesn't have sidewalks on both sides.
So this is just within the existing demand. So presence of sidewalks and presence of footpaths, those are like the two to gauge existing demand. So it's like if there aren't sidewalks, that's one thing. The other thing is like if there are if there's the footpaths, worn in, but we don't have a way to really collect that at a county-wide scale. So what we've talked about is having kind of a secondary filtering potential. We have to see what it looks like when you actually do it. But basically, if we get like the top 100 sidewalk gaps, we can then go through, look at the sidewalk gaps with, aerial imagery or do site visits, determine which ones have footpaths. And we could even have a scale, like the really well-worn ones versus, ones that are maybe just kind of look like it or don't have one at all. And then that could help us prioritize that.
I want to make sure that they understand like the significance of this is one, we have not had access to this information before. It just because there's a road and there's a sidewalk here, it doesn't mean that staff just know that there's not a sidewalk on the other side of the road. And this will inform our small programs, sidewalk gap program. So what we need to do, how to prioritize those things. These are kind of smaller areas. They're not necessarily like huge long corridors or whatever. Those are separate things. Although there could be some overlap.
I think we've addressed this matter here before.
Yeah, we talked about it roughly. This is kind of the actual draft of it. So before they weren't split out into sections. So that first one was existing demand. The second one is access and connectivity. So this is really looking at the functional classification of the roadway, kind of similar to what you were saying. And then proximity to schools, proximity to parks and recreation, proximity to transit. And then we've got, this is probably getting removed because we don't really have safe routes to schools routes, I don't believe. And then this is a proximity to commercial zones. I need to get with planning to see if we have like those growth concept maps digitized in a way that we can say this sidewalk is within or adjacent to these things. So that's access and connectivity. So it's really looking at location of it and what it's near. So is it going to serve school, park, transit, commercial? And then the safety and comfort, we've got, is it on, adjacent to, or off the high injury network? That's a separate thing we're working on with our consultant. We've got AADT, the daily traffic, the speed limit of the road. We actually have access to speeds of the roads through a new software that we subscribed to recently called Urban SDK. So we're also going to try to incorporate that because that's a little more meaningful than speed limit, although speed limit is definitely meaningful. Then cut through corridors, yes, no. And then street lighting, presence, is there existing street lighting? And then the level of comfort analysis. So if it is comfortable, then it would have a low prioritization in this framework. And if it's uncomfortable, undesirable, it'll have a high prioritization, so we can really make sure we're doing those. And then equity here, we've got social vulnerability index, and then equitable community. They have that as something that can, like, I'm trying to think of the word, where they label a community as transportation disadvantaged. And the social vulnerability index uses that. And then there's also the walkability score. We're gonna have to explore those things a little bit. As y'all might know, there's changes to these kinds of things. There's recently a big thing put out about there will not be any consideration of equity or mention of it at the national level. So if the social vulnerability index no longer is calculated on a national level, then we could potentially use the methodology that they have to do our own, but it's not going to necessarily be the same level of data or analysis. The last thing here is constructability. We've got gap length and then redevelopment of adjacent parcels. There's not really a way that we can know if a parcel is likely to be redeveloped, but we do know which ones are going through rezoning or plan development, those types of things. So we can kind of keep this, if it is being redeveloped, then that would knock it down the list, because we wouldn't necessarily want to fill in the gap before the development comes in. And then the gap length, this really gets into how easy is it. And you can see here, if it's greater than 1,000 feet, that's highlighted as a 10, which really it should be reversed. So I think there's some miscommunication there. So that's one of the pieces of feedback we gave them. So going back to this. So that's what this looks like visualized. So what I can actually do also is, this is the, so the overall score is the calculations of those. We can apply different weights to these things to really get a feel for the distribution of how these are, spread around the community. So if we want to say we really want, safety to be a higher priority, or we want equity to be a higher priority, we can kind of adjust those weights. And those are the types of things that, we're going to run by the commission, and then y'all can make a recommendation. Like each year as part of these programs, the goal is that we would have our list of sidewalk gaps to fill. Y'all would kind of vote for your priority, and the mayor and commission could vote for their priority of which of these focus areas.
Okay, this becomes like pavement maintenance.
Yeah, except instead of like necessarily saying like, well, this street specifically, like I'm really working to do more of a value-based
Yes, okay.
informing of this, so that like, if they want to say we want a higher focus on equity, then we can give that a higher weight, and that'll give us, a score. So right here, this is the access and connectivity. So this would basically, if you zoom out, it's more of a heat map of where are green spaces, where are
School heat map based upon criteria that we know are not actually applicable at present.
what do you mean?
Well, I mean, you've got longer is better.
Well, this is actually, that is one of the lower ones. This is only for access and connectivity. So what we're looking at here is a score of access and connectivity. So the ones that are darker are, you see how this is like within, this is darker here. Now I don't have the schools and stuff turned on. Probably informing up here. The elementary schools informing over here. So, and then if we look at equity, you can see at the county level, this is really part by block group within the census tracts. It's the tract level, I think, not block group.
Putting all of this together, like this is a very powerful tool that's nimble and flexible and will help help us focus when we have so many gaps in our network. How do we get to building sidewalks? What are the next steps? Is it that We develop the program, we pick some values, and then does that come before Mayor and Commission this year? Should I include this on the work plan? Say like, hey, we're going to have a values-based recommendation of sidewalk gaps coming your way?
Yeah, I would say within the work plan, it makes sense that the sidewalk gap program, we want to get that underway as soon as possible. You know, we're currently going through the thing with these types of analyses is you can kind of say what your values are, plug it in until it's visualized and actually processed, then you look at it, you're kind of like, oh, this isn't exactly what like using our current weighting system, it's giving us all of the longest ones are the highest priority. There's an issue there, and we figured out what that was, and so they're going to fix that. But we're just going to have to kind of massage a little bit to get essentially what we're looking for is a list of sidewalk gap improvements that over time, you know, in the Athens in Motion plan, we have like tier 1, 2, and 3. I'm almost thinking like we have like a tier 1 through 10, like where tier 1 is like the very top. These are the top priority sidewalk gaps, and maybe like if you guys or the mayor and commission want to put additional funds toward, so let's say we have $5 million. Well, tier 1 is $5 million worth of sidewalks, hopefully. But let's say they say, actually, we want to put 10 million towards this because we found money. Now we could go and look at tier 2, tier 3, and kind of work down. So the tier, I don't know if it's the right phrase is tier, but basically creating like, yeah, here's your here's like option 1, which is the highest need, low budget option, or option 2, which might be more money invested,
Higher need, but higher budget.
yeah, like still high need, but also maybe some nice to haves and a higher budget. And as part of all this, we have to consider the costs. You notice there wasn't a cost in there. One of the things that we're talking about adding in is topography, because you have that data. Existing right of way, those are things that can go into constructability. So really, like if something is on like a really steep slope and there's no right of way, and it's a mile long area with no sidewalk, and maybe it shouldn't be a sidewalk out. So the length is really, we kind of have that at like, I think 250 feet, 500 feet, and then nothing more than 1,000 is what we're kind of leaning towards right now. Still got to get that run by our admin, but
You're still kind of working on this.
yeah, this is a good vision based on currently what we have in the data. Like this is what that looks like, and by the end of it, we'll have like an overarching, and ideally, we want the weights to be balanced in a way where it's pretty evenly split of like where the projects are located. Not necessarily geographically, but within the chart of projects.
Ideally, these kinds of projects are designed to be done in-house. So once we do all this initial work and we have a plan, we can like do these pretty quickly. How soon are we talking about being able to build these gaps? Are we thinking like a year from now, we might be able to get some concrete on the ground?
I mean,
How soon can we spend out the money?
like, it's complicated.
Well, that's exactly the comment I was about to make.
Yeah.
This is really pretty. I mean, I'm loving all the nice little colors and the lines and everything, and it's cool that we've got buttons to press and everything, but perfection is the death of good.
Yeah.
And we're looking like we're striving for perfection here, and I think that, you know, we need to go through and prioritize what our highest priorities are.
I mean,
Okay, and you know, and the list of criteria you've got, what are the most important criteria? Pick the top 3, map it out, build some sidewalks.
Say this is where we're staying. Criteria. It's
Yeah,
not perfect,
Yeah.
but this is.
so right now, I'm just going for accuracy.
You know, it's like the length of the coast of England problem. how accurate is that
Yeah.
depends on how long your measuring stick is.
Right.
And so, you know, the
Well-
farther you dig in, the deeper it gets.
You know, accuracy in terms of, so like the constructability thing, for instance, like this is an issue where, you know, it's showing the higher need is these longer segments, and that's not what we asked for. I think it was a
Well, I
misunderstanding.
get that.
So like that, like once, I don't know how many back and forths, but we're at a really good spot. I'm gonna pour through this a lot more. It also is only as relevant as the accuracy of the actual shape files. So that's kind of like the next thing we need to discuss with our consultant. But I could see us having like a sidewalk gap program, like draft program developed by the end of spring. And then we bring that back to y'all to kind of pour over. And this would be something where I'd really, like, it would be a document with outline, you know, like report and everything. And we could have some ways that you could go through and look at the data, but this would be like, you know, eyes in the details. And then from there, our plan with this, even though it's part of the Safe Streets for All action plan, safety action plan, we don't want to wait until the safety action plan is completed before we get this. So once we have that draft, once we get kind of comments from y'all, and then we bring that back, get the consultant to finalize it. Hopefully this summer we could bring this to the mayor and commission with a program and a recommendation from the Athens Motion Commission. And once that has been voted on, we have our prioritized list. Like that would be what we recommend. It's like, here's our new framework, approve this, and we also are asking you to approve this list of, this is like staff asking, you know, approve the framework, approve this list of prioritized gaps, and approve the use of this money from TSPOS 2018 or 2023, whichever one it ends up being, whichever one needs to be spent out, used towards these from a top-down approach. And that would be the 3 items on that one agenda. And once that's approved, from there, the question, and before then, we'll have to have this talk internally, but ideally, these are things that we could fix with our staff's time. But at this point, I don't believe our staff are going to be able to tackle pretty much any of these. So we're probably going to be looking at mobilizing a contractor to do this first round.
Why can't,
Well, we don't have operating dollars to fill in gaps. And so it's not my call.
no, but we have a
up to
budget.
Wayne. Right, but
Budget.
yeah, but Wayne and his staff have a certain
It'll-
delivery of things that they have to do. And
So we have to get on their work plan for next year or something like that.
we have to work with them to figure out the capacity they have to take on extra work.
We can't work with them until we have a plan that has been approved by
Right.
our.
And so this is something where currently our consultants are working on this and developing us. And like when y'all are looking at it, it's ideally, we've already discussed that internally with our other divisions to make sure that everybody's on board. I mean, one idea that came up is actually one that I believe Decatur does, where they look at their paving PMP list, and as part of their repaving efforts, they go through and repair and build out all of the sidewalk and the sidewalk gaps
Well, see,
along.
that would make perfect
there.
sense.
So
Yeah.
that would be great if we had operating dollars to do, like general budget to put in to do sidewalks, which we don't.
We also don't have general budget to do pavement maintenance.
Right, but that goes just towards repaving though. So with a sidewalk program, that's something that we're gonna have written in there, if that's something that my boss and other divisions agree on, because that's kind of the bigger picture here, is like, that could potentially be one of the things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you see there's a lot, what we can see right here is that a lot of these longer stretches are all basically future capital projects. These yellow ones are gonna be the ones that are more likely to be our gaps. And of the ones shown here, it's that any of these are actually going to be in the GAP program, because at the end of the day, there's kind of like, there's a prioritization of the gaps, but also I want to look at the eligibility of the gaps. And so, you know, if you can see these subdivisions way out here on maybe low speed streets that are privately built, we aren't going to be building them sidewalks. But this is kind of the first pass we'll get through.
Okay, so stay tuned because this is in progress. We're going to see this again. I think it's fine for us to come up with a list, but I would, you know, I actually don't want to get in the weeds of like coming up with the perfect list at this point, because, or even down the road, the commission's going to have their own. Probably just that.
And it won't be.
Yeah. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. Going forward with the GAP program, we'll do our best to have an educated recommendation, but they're
But I think
they're
that's
their own process.
we can do. I mean, we had to say that we have. At the end of the day, here's our recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have to put something out.
But
Because they can't make a decision.
yeah, I mean,
But I think that they
They can.
I think that they would.
Right, but we will have to.
Yeah. I'm about to move us onward. Was there anything else?
I was gonna try to pull up the thing, but it's freezing out. I was just gonna say that the feedback that we are looking for right now, kind of like what you were saying, this seems like a lot of data points. Like maybe we pick the ones that are most meaningful to us. And so, do we want to have a 20 point prioritization factor, or do we really just want to have these 3 things that we're looking at? So,
And in my experience in life, we never want 20 points of prioritization.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, now I haven't had to put sidewalks in the city.
yeah, and some of these things really impact the cost and not necessarily whether or not we should do it. And so those are things that it'd be good for us to have this data for other purposes, you know, like the topography, the constructability. But I mean, it really comes down to what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sending out the spreadsheet to y'all. And as we discussed, there's kind of 5 subcategory areas. Those are the 5 main areas. And I'd like to know kind of your thoughts on if they should be incorporated into the prioritization, or if you think it's extra. Yeah, we can review it at the next projects and policy committee meeting. And if you can't make that meeting, you can send me your comments through email and that discussion.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a lot of data points in there. All right. Yes, I did not hold Daniel to the permit.
It's because I was so interesting.
It's really important stuff. And it takes a lot. It's hard to just synthesize that down in 10 minutes. So for our last discussion, again, if anyone needs to go, because I said the meeting would end at 5:40, I totally understand that. About the next year, and there's 2 points. One is about process. If there's anything that we'd like to change, and that can be you know, we're not going to get in the weeds on this, but I just want to put this out there, like anything like meeting times, or the way that we get staff, or the way that I run these meetings. If there's anything that you'd like for us to look into, or have a more, we don't have a lot of time here, right? We have further discussion on, we can set aside time for that, and then beyond that, talking about work. But maybe I'll put out there anything about process or the way things are run that you'd like us to look into. We have a meeting every month. We don't have to meet every other month, and it's good to have the monthly meeting. The staff will have things for us to vote on, or sometimes progress, and then we get the track reports, which are a great addition.
I like them. Nothing else I find really important.
Okay, and they're still we still kind of like take June or July off, depending on like if the commission take June or July off, sometimes I'll put that out there too. Yeah. Yeah, what your thoughts about format?
Yeah.
Location.
Yeah.
I
Just any vocals.
yeah, I think honestly, it's just it has gotten really crazy. And I'm sorry, Daniel, it's a lot to deal with.
Did you get my email?
I did. Saw that. Yeah.
So, apparently, as soon as we got ensconced in here, they bailed out.
Yeah, that's kind of frustrating.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Well, it was denied.
Opening up.
Oh, can I get a break? Relaxing.
I know. Boston.
Sweet. Yeah, okay.
Our second question are, okay, so apparently. Considering Vincent, Drive, Barbara, Newton Bridge Road, had priority list. Traffic, and safety improvements. Newton Bridge and Vincent. Anything we want to say about that? If we want to show up for that, is there a reason we would?
My read on it is probably not. I don't think that those are controversial. I think the neighborhoods are really driving some of those traffic circles. I think that those are okay. Yeah, so probably good there. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so yeah.
There was an update to the Vincent Drive project. During their discussion in the agenda setting session, they talked about using some of the other funds that are kind of left over from interest in
Yeah, I saw that note.
2018 to build out the whole sidewalk on the north side. So
Oh, heck yeah. Okay, so that's great. I love that. Since all of our money went to Cherokee. Great. Okay, so if anyone else has really good things or ideas or feedback, I'm happy to receive that. You're also welcome if you want to be anonymous and don't want to charity, the vice chair, that's fine. There. If nothing else, if we can stabilize our meeting location, I think that would make a big difference. Yes, it used to be so much better. And then I want you all to think about like what drove you to be on this commission. You were kind of forced to be on it.
Well, I did volunteer. Commission seat.
Yeah.
I thought I was a liaison, yeah.
It is a whole other thing.
It's a commitment.
It was more of a commitment than I anticipated, but I also have been surprised at how much I've been able to learn about what's going on in the city.
So so going back to thinking about what I really wanted for the commission, think about like maybe I'm trying to get an answer to is like how help you get an answer to how can I do this, or what is the best vehicle or committee for me to accomplish these things that are important to me, or how can I bring this to others and get buy-in, or what is some version of this. I would love, this isn't always doable, but I'd love if everyone could leave each meeting with something they're working on an action item. You know, Blaine had to go, but he has the minutes every month, so that's kind of his big action item. We do have the T-SPLOS stuff, and that takes a lot of time. But I'd love for there to be something that each of you feel invested in. This is my thing. I'm working towards this. There are other things that come before Mayor Commission. This is stuff that's really important, but we just need to check with staff. And there are partnerships that we can make with other entities. It's like we're not driving, we're helping by gas and like that. There's this electric bike group maybe showing up and handing out vests if people want it, things like that. So we have 2 committees. We could have more. It just what we have more very small. You don't have to be on the commission, or this commission to be on the committee. So if you know people. Yeah, putting that out there. Love to hear your thoughts.
About my opinions today. I consider the important thing for me to do is to be aware of things that I'm learning in one commission and sharing those with the other commissions in first directions. I try and keep my, eyes and ears open for things that are relevant for one or the other. Or
I mean, you're the liaison for the Greenway Commission, but you're also kind of our liaison.
No, I 100% approach the job that way.
That's significant.
Oh, absolutely.
So I sit here every month and daily meeting every month because I really want to make this happens like happens. And we're sort of growing. Area, Pennsylvania. We're sitting in Philadelphia. And we need to be guidance for that here. All of it's really cool community. And so it's an old town. It's very difficult to expand on the roads and make vehicles to get around. For those that need to.
Right.
It's easy. But also we need to do it. I give up my car.
So do you feel like that the work you're doing in policy and project is contributing to the goals that we have?
Yeah. I mean, it's excruciating, but it's also, it is. So we have two choices,
Right.
Well, I think that for some reason, I think it happens in the. And I feel like I would like to change that perception. It's not everything, it's just certain people who get a lot of attention in the audience. They're very negative things about what we do. And I feel like, everybody, but I mean, what we're doing is giving people the freedom to make a part of home and get around and see. And, basically, I don't think that that's a political statement in any way. I think it's just about being open. So I care about that. And I hope that we can do something about it to kind of let people know Athens and Washington power. All the things about bad people or political people. Amen.
So what does this look like? Like getting out there more, putting our stickers on The bike racks, I think we are doing.
You know, I kind of stepped on Daniel's toes a little bit. And I wrote an email to the flagpole. Sorry, Daniel. I
Send
wasn't
it to me
ready to
first.
do anything other than just talk to the people there, but, you know, basically, you know, I think if we could find a way to like put a regular meeting, something out somewhere somehow about, you know, whether it's like how to navigate the traffic center, where we are building sidewalks or how, what the process is for getting these things built and how long it takes. It seems like nothing's happening, but it really is happening. It just doesn't look like. You know, there's just a lot, you know, that I feel like we could do with this. You know, provide information without trying to be people.
Yeah, yeah, and I know, you've had some thoughts on this from the file too, right? Like,
Right. And like, I'm perfectly, I mean, I'm not the right word, but I'm not ready to like, break the, say, like, you know, I'm not gonna be fired and you guys decide to do it. Okay, that's another thing to do. But
I put you off. Please stay on the island.
But, I mean, so like, I'm randomly thinking once in a while, like, about the people get and writing me memos and stuff like that. So like, I'm happy to,
You're saying you're looking to be.
I can do things. If people are not able to, for whatever reason, I have to see.
Yeah, it's important to be more informed about what what our group does. And just like with the full mayor and commission, they hear from people who are really upset. And it often has nothing to do with them.
They do something, it scares them, they react. Damn it, you can't let this happen.
So if you guys hear something, or get some negative feedback, please pass that along to me as your chair. You don't have to deal with that. You don't have to respond. Even if it comes from a commissioner or the mayor himself, or a staff member, you can pass that along to me. And I'm as the chair, I'm the one who officially speaks for the commission. So, yeah. And I'm sorry in advance, because it's valid. Yeah, I'm sorry. Please, you have to hear that.
Yeah, I got it. I'm sorry. But that's okay.
So the point is putting ourselves out there in some way, educating the community more. Let's do more of that this next year. Yeah. Do you feel like education and communications is still like a good vehicle for
I
that?
do, I do. I feel like, you know, we've had a hard time kind of getting any traction to get anything. That's been the first, I don't know if there's really. I do want us to improve our web. Because I feel like it's not really good.
Yeah.
It's-
I mean,
it's made more.
So what could be useful from staff is an understanding of like what the committee can do, and maybe even there's things that y'all can delegate to this committee versus we're getting frustrated, we're hitting a wall. So what can we do that, you know, is in line and doesn't frustrate you guys or upset your work? So maybe y'all can delegate. Help us be like we're getting somewhere. That way we're not stepping on toes or getting anybody in trouble or anything like that. So we want to know how we can be as the appropriate vehicle. Yeah. We have just another minute or two. I want to make sure, like, I haven't heard from Julie. Do you have some thoughts?
We just had everything Teresa said we have.
last week. We had a lot of really great ideas, and I'm excited about coming into the new year.
It got me inspired and I stepped up and
It wasn't so much a step on toes, it was just like, I didn't know you were gonna immediately email the flagpole.
Well, I was gonna call the guy, but I couldn't find,
Yeah.
phone numbers. I said, oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's more on us for not like fully communicating to you, like what we need to do. And it's the kind of thing where once you sent it, I realized I was like, we need to talk to the communications department.
See, I didn't even know we had them.
Yeah, well, they were the public information office, Jeff Montgomery. So they're now. Yes. So, you know, and he has more thoughts on all of this. And so like some of the stuff that could be delegated is like, I don't even know if y'all can set up a meeting. Yes. Or, and I don't think you can. I think we could potentially ask for him to come to one of our meetings, but they're extra things to figure out every time is the problem. So
That's frustrating.
yeah.
You know, with all these little levels of rules we basically have to try to sort out before we can do anything. That kind of
Yeah.
gives
But
us a bit of paralysis.
We do know what we can do, give you, swag, and things like that. I did have a meeting with transit and they said they would be interested in like having Athens motion things on the buses to give out to riders. So, I asked them to just let me know what they need to give out to the riders and I can bring it back to them. But
What would that be?
it could be dust, it could be the lights, it could be bike lights, it could
So
be
they got
lamps.
their little piece of stuff.
It's not up to them.
Yeah,
So, like,
we'll let them figure it out.
I basically was like, we have money to help improve safety and get the word out. And let us know what you think would be a good idea. And they have a lot of ideas, but with all of this, you know, it's kind of.
Just for running out of time. I know myself, one of the reasons that I got involved with the committee was looking at the original Athens in Motion plan and really having a hard time figuring out why things were prioritized the way that they were. And so I'm looking forward to this year as we have a more data-driven approach that we can get in there and come up with a plan that maybe has more tiers and doesn't say that we'll have tier 1 all completed by 2025.
Yeah.
And when we're not going to have anything of that done, I think we set expectations in the community with plans like that, and they need to be aspirational, but they also need to be realistic. So I'm excited about people involved with that.
It was a good start.
It was what we need to start.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna work on. We'll work on that this year. Okay, so sorry about that. Looks like Scott had to jump off. I'm gonna guess that he was gonna mention the joyride on Friday, pending weather. And I don't know if the electric bike group has yet scheduled, their 2025 rides. I know they were in the parade. But there's probably some of those down the road. And, next committee meeting, there's yeah. Okay, but you guys just met. Okay. Great, anything else? Okay. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I guess I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting since I can't make motions.
I'll do to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, so that was, wait, hold on, this has to be recorded.
I know, I'm waiting.
Okay, so Teresa made the motion. Can I get a second? Second from Randy for Blaine in the future, who's doing our minutes. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Unanimous.